I don't want to do that thing that you get poets, performance poets things. They sometimes do a really, really macho thing, which is like they have the microphone and they make a big thing about I'm going to get the microphone, and then I'm going to just put it to the side here and I'm just going to talk to you and declaim in my normal voice. And I don't like doing that because as I'm trans, I tend to try and speak without using my diaphragm as much as possible. So I like having the microphone there as a bulwark, a bit of security. And this is, I'm going to do something horrible here. I haven't memorised one of the poems I'm doing yet. So this is the poem that this section is kind of named after, which is a poem called Fait, Accompli, which is about the fact that I'm a massive coward. And I decided that the best way of telling my parents that I'm trans would be to just leave a bunch of my books behind in the house one day. So this is called Fait, Accompli. I left the books behind today. A coward's way of telling, but a start, a quiet declaration of intent, a footprint left deliberately in snow. Soon you will know. No need to ask or tell or sit amazed to find you so incurious about my lipstick and foundation. At the least, no need to phrase it in a big, dramatic way. A minor key inquiry. You've read them. A reply which will be all I need to know. The signs of thumbing on the cheaply printed pages which will tell me they've been skimmed as sure as tracks sing sagas to the hunter. As curtains, strangely shut, provide a signal to the spy. And so that, one of the books left behind was this one, Names and Songs of Women. And the next poem I'm going to do is about someone who's in the book, basically. It's interesting that one of the things that people mentioned was the idea that you need to see reflections of yourself in what you read in general. And when you're trans, this is something that I always feel intensely aware of, because I feel a kind of pressure to have to write my own story, because the number of stories out there about people like me are usually pretty cliche. And, that's a limiting factor. So this poem is about someone who isn't a typical trans person. It's about a person called Fallon Fox, who some of you may have heard about, some of you may not. Fallon's quite an interesting person because she's trans, she's a lesbian, but she actually does MMA, which is mixed martial arts, which is that whole fighting in cages thing that people do. Now, if that's making you feel slightly uncomfortable at the moment, that's quite interesting, because one of the narratives that you tend to get whenever anyone starts discussing Fallon is this idea that if you're trans, you have, because of this male background, you have these incredible physical advantages. I've been on estrogen for 3 months. The IOC regulations, the regulations most boxing and wrestling commissions have for trans athletes, the regulations which Wimbledon uses, the regulations which the World Flat Track Roller Derby Association uses for trans athletes, all mandate a period of 2 years of hormone replacement therapy minimum before you're able to compete. I've been on estrogen for 3 months now, and I'm already asking people to help me with heavy bags of shopping. It's embarrassing. So this is called Fallon. I was on the bus to work when I first read of Fallon Fox, and I shivered when I read about the battles she was fighting inside the octagon where she faced other women and outside it, where bigots who had not done anti-androgens tried to claim she had unfair advantages, the same old crap about our larger-handedness, our denser bones, our greater levels of testosterone, pub or machismo. Given pseudoscientific sanction and cachet generalization draping like a negligee over the phrenologic nonsense with which Cesare Lombroso flattered bourgeoisie, with what they all already claim to know. Understand, when I wrote this, I was only on finasteride and was already weaker when I exercised, and still, I wouldn't be allowed to work within the guidelines Fallon has to find, so I'm still not girl enough to satisfy commissioners. They'd insist that my transition is insufficiently advanced for competition, while Fallon is legitimately thought feminine enough because she is feminine enough. And the only thing about her that is intrinsically tough is that she knew that this would happen when she stepped inside a cage, and yet she still threw her hands up and went right into the rage, because a samurai goes forward. That's the essence of jiu-jitsu. You get right inside and neutralise before they get to hit you, and you prove them wrong even as they contend your gender is an issue, because you fight girls that are fitter, you fight girls that are quicker, you take on girls who stand up with a more masculine figure than you ever had. Establishing this edge they claim you had is fiction and still win fights. Twice by knockout, one time by submission, but even as I read about the fights that she was winning, I felt the same ice knife of fear daggering within me as I feel when I stand here. And I wonder if you hear me. Because for queers, the secret counterpoint we're hearing, underneath the clapping and the cheering, is the thought we might be overreaching. And secretly you're hoping someone teaches us a lesson. Secretly you want to see us wrestle with oppression like a jobber on the undercard. Sure, hope spots get you hot, but secretly you really want to see us being squashed. And so I knew that they were waiting for the fight that Fallon lost. And yes, they got it. At the fists of Ashley Evans Smith, Fallon went down. They rubbed their hands, they got their wish, but that was not enough. They had to go the whole damn hog. Ashley started claiming she had been the underdog, despite the tale that tape told, and the bigots all connived at it because they wanted to maintain that she had slain some kind of giant when she only been a woman. Did no more and did no less. It was an L in Fallon's column, nothing else. Losses are taken in the early stages of a fight career, and hers is nascent. What defines the cost of loss is how you take it. And Fallon took it better than the Victrix did her victory, because she used defeat to teach that she was reaching for equality, the right to lose as much as win, judged solely on the quality of muscle and technique, the way it should be in a ring, a cage, or any competition. And the logic of accepting that fight's TKO decision is that the loss renders the victories legitimate, just as our life acquires its value in our living it without allowing bigotry to limit it. I need to correct something that Graham said at the start of that. I don't run So Gay. I'm the deputy editor of So Gay. We're a little bit more than a blog. We're Britain's fastest growing online LGBT lifestyle magazine. We have around 370,000 unique views every month, and that's going up higher and higher. We were the official partner for Peccadillo Pictures at the West London LGBT Film Festival, and that's as much of the press pack as I can remember. But we have been covering a story involving Fallon Fox lately, which is that her next opponent, who also happens to be an out lesbian fighter, and so this should be a really, really cool thing, because it's like this incredibly macho world, and you've got two people who are lesbians, and it's, you know, two people from sexual minorities. It's a really awesome thing. And it would be if this person would be happy to actually criticise the transphobia of all the people on her fan page on Facebook who are continually, basically, I mean, check the articles we've written about it in the magazine. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, but there's misgendering, abuse, misinformation. At one point, someone referring to Fox as a rapist, so that was nice. So one of the things that's happened as a result of covering this story, though, is that some of this person, Tamika Brents, some of her fans have been getting in touch with me. So they've been sending me something I've not had in a while, which is death threats. Which is fun. And this poem is kind of about that. This is about those times. This is not about these particular brand of threats. This is about the times when people send you death threats, but because they're really, really badly written, they actually come across as a kind of compliment. It's called buxom. It was nice that you said buxom when you threatened to have me killed. Though you meant it as a synonym for fat, I should imagine. Still, it felt good to have one's embonpoint, such as it was then, given pride of place in a statement of your homicidal intention. It was nice that you said buxom, a rather feminine word, even as you told me that my gender was absurd, because it seemed that liking sci-fi and wrestling especially was striking off offences in your court of femininity. It was nice that you said buxom, when he warned me to quit the scene, said people like me were obscene and would be hunted down and executed by troops if you ran the regime. I expect you thought I'd be frightened, terrified of a possible outcome. But people like you don't matter. In fact, I'm flattered, because you called me buxom. Thank you for your time.